Apple Arcade. Is it worth a subscription? Yes, I think so. And yet, I think not. Why the contradiction? It's because Apple Arcade is much better than I expected. Perhaps it's too good. At $5 per month, or $50 per year, there's tremendous value here. Let's start at the beginning. A couple months back, I got a new Apple TV 4K. It's the 2021 model. It was the first review video for Photics TV. This video is a follow-up to something that was mentioned in that video. The Apple TV was compared to a game console, but without enough games. I was primarily playing Crossy Road, but not much else. Would Apple Arcade change that? Well, you can see for yourself. Just as the previous video was a Crossy Road playthrough, disguised as an Apple TV review, this video is a Crossy Road Castle playthrough, disguised as an Apple Arcade review. Even though I played other Apple Arcade games, Crossy Road Castle is the game that I played the most. It's Apple's answer to Super Mario Bros. While I like Mario and Sonic, those games are from the 80s and 90s. Isn't there anything else? That's what surprised me. One of the first Apple Arcade games that I played was Song Pop Party. If it wasn't part of the Apple Arcade subscription, I'm not sure if I would have played a game like that. This reminds me of Dance Dance Revolution in the arcades. I usually skip that one, opting for shooters or fighting games. Apple Arcade is more on the casual side than the brick-and-mortar arcades that I used to visit. These days, actual arcades are rare. I remember when the arcade on Sand Lane closed. That Staten Island arcade was turned into a supermarket. Perhaps that's for the best. Arcades are typically dark and grungy. Also, there's the expense. $5 could easily be eaten by an arcade in an hour or two. Don't forget about inflation. $5 in 1991, 30 years ago, is about $10 in today's money. So it's not the cost of Apple Arcade, it's more of the principle of the matter. I don't like renting games, and yet, isn't that exactly what I did in the arcades of yore? I think it would be nice to have a buy option on the Apple Arcade. If you really like a game in particular, then having the choice to purchase it outright seems nice. But sadly, I feel this battle has already been lost. If you look at Microsoft and Adobe, renting software is becoming the norm. I don't feel like paying such high prices for software, especially when there are cheap or even free alternatives. However, there really isn't a good alternative to Apple Arcade. If you want to play games on your Apple TV, this is it. Crossy Road Castle is an exclusive to Apple Arcade, as are many other games. Apple did that part well. While iOS has lots of games, too many are riddled with advertisements and in-app purchases. That's a main feature of Apple Arcade. It doesn't have that problem. So in a sense, while Apple Arcade is a rental, it is more true to that classic gaming experience. Although it would be nice to see even more unification. Each game can have its own privacy policy and user agreement. I feel like I need a law degree to play games these days. I also feel like I need a decent controller. If you see me stumbling to move that cat across the screen, that's because I'm using the new Apple TV remote. But it's turned sideways. This is not the most ergonomic experience. With the original Crossy Road, it's not too bad. It's a one-handed game, so I can eat something or drink something and still be able to play. That's great for lunch breaks. It's nice and lazy, which is what I expect from gaming these days. Although neither game uses the arrow keys on the new remote. This doesn't make any sense to me. Swiping or touch controls are finicky. When I played Crossy Road Castle on macOS, I crushed it with a keyboard. That's another feature that's really nice about Apple Arcade. I can play Crossy Road Castle on Apple TV, iPhone, iPad, or macOS. That's phenomenal. So, out of all those options, which one is my favorite? Apple TV wins. It goes back to the idea of lazy gaming. I'm not playing professionally. I'm here to relax. Although, does this review count as professional gaming? I treat gaming as a diversion while I refocus my thoughts. Apple TV is great for that. I can relax on the couch. Although, there's certainly the potential to overdo it here. That's why I say Apple Arcade may not be worth a subscription. It reminds me of the days of online role-playing games. At first it seemed inconceivable to pay a monthly subscription for a single game, but then something worse was discovered. It's a huge time sink. While I don't see me playing any one Apple Arcade game as much as I played EverQuest, Dark Age of Camelot, Guild Wars, or World of Warcraft, the difference is the bulk of games. There are over 180 games to play. Even if you figure a low estimate of 10 hours of enjoyment per game, that's 1,800 hours of gaming. So if you play 5 hours a day, which is a lot, that's a year before you play through them all. But here's the thing, Apple is adding new games all the time. The official website says new games and content updates are added to Apple Arcade every week. I just don't have that kind of time to kill anymore. I don't recommend that anyone waste that kind of time either. Photics TV is an excellent example. Imagine how much better it would be a year from now if I invested an extra 1,800 hours into it instead of Apple Arcade. I'm playing the game of content creator, where the loot is real. And yet, there are two things to consider. First, rest is important. You can't always be working. You'll burn out. Secondly, gaming content could be part of this channel. Web design, web development, tech tutorials, that's difficult stuff. It's hard for a lot of people to relate to that. But hey, a bouncing cat. That looks interesting. Let's see what this guy has to say. Photics TV is about all things tech. Does that include gaming? You can let me know what you think in the comments. This is not to suggest overdoing it, but maybe one silly video for the weekend could be fun. It's a nice way to unwind. There is a grand vision for Photics TV, but this is still the experimental stage. So, while we've got this bouncy little cat on the screen, I suppose I could do a quick review of Crossy Road Castle. It's good. What? Were you expecting something more? Well, there's really not much to say. This game is such a standard platformer that it's almost instinctive to play. There's no run button to worry about, it's just left, right, and jump. The up button? That's also jump. There's no ducking, but there is a duck. That's the core of Crossy Road, unlocking characters, like a duck. With the original, there was tremendous variety and humor. Here, with Crossy Road Castle, I don't really see the point. Seriously, the cat is my favorite, and that's a starting character. Oh sure, you can drive yourself nuts collecting gems in order to unlock the astronaut, or something like that, but it just doesn't seem worth the effort. That's a key word with Crossy Road Castle, effort. This game is the digital embodiment of working in groups. There's always that one person that excels, someone that ends up doing all of the work, while the rest of the team fumbles around. I don't really blame Hipster Whale for this design decision. It actually makes the game more inviting to beginners and casual players. The problem is with the lack of coordination. With random matches, there is no way to communicate with your teammates. That's especially detrimental for gem seekers. You'll be trying to get to that secret green door, but some duck wanders off into the yellow door. This problem is amplified with matchmaking. I'll imagine 4 players on the space station, but suddenly it will be changed to 2 players on the creepy tower. It would be nice if you could set the requirements for a group. While I think Crossy Road Castle is a great game, I still prefer the original. I think the main reason is because of hats. I really don't see the point. A big part of Crossy Road Castle is collecting coins. Those coins seem to have 2 functions, buying hearts and buying hats. The problem with hats is that a lot of them are just silly. Why would I want to wear a hot dog hat? I usually run the game without wearing a hat. It might be different if the hats gave power-ups, like if the construction hat could block projectiles. That might be nice. If a hot dog hat gave an extra heart, then that goofy look suddenly becomes appealing. Once that I realized that the in-game economy is kinda broken, it ruined my motivation. This is especially true with reaching level 100. I thought that there'd be some sort of prize for reaching the top. Apparently, it just keeps going. There are more towers on the way, so a few good updates could make Crossy Road Castle even better. Meanwhile, the race level challenges are nice. It's a quick way to play, as there are only 20 levels, and the goal is to run through them as fast as possible. A speedrunner, I am not, but this game might be appealing to those that are. While the original Crossy Road is not ideal for speedrunning, Crossy Road Castle has potential. I can imagine a race to level 100. While I have collected most of the hats, unlocked most of the characters, and I'm pretty fast at going through the levels, playing this game to perfection is not a priority. Not to me. This goes back to my warning with Apple Arcade. So far, there are 28 achievements in this game, but there's one in particular that's problematic. The Now It's Personal achievement requires stomping on 5,000 enemies. That's not an achievement, That's work. But overall, Crossy Road Castle is a great party game. While the original is great, the sequel is better for multiplayer action. That's where Apple Arcade is a winner. Arcades were cool because you could get together with friends and have fun. Apple Arcade is great for that. Just look at the Play Together section to get some ideas. I was really surprised to see Frogger listed there. The original Crossy Road is described as Endless Frogger. So it was nice to see Konami releasing a newer version of that game. More multiplayer games like Crossy Road Castle would be better, but this is a nice start. I expected to cancel Apple Arcade once the free 3-month trial ended. I even added a reminder to cancel Apple Arcade in October. Apple is crafty about that too. I needed to add a credit card to get the free trial, and if I canceled Apple Arcade early, I would immediately lose access. I'm not so sure what to do about Apple Arcade, but the question is answered. Is Apple Arcade worth a subscription? Yes. There's lots of fun here for $5 a month, or $50 a year. But is it worth the time sink? Right now, I'm leaning towards a no. But again, that depends on your feedback. Do you like what you see? And do you want to see more? You can let me know in the comments.